My coworker took a 2-hour lunch every day and dumped his work on me, snickering, "You actually care about this job? That's cute." When I stopped covering for him, he screamed at HR, "She's trying to sabotage me." The next morning, he was escorted out because I had every missed deadline printed and ready. I never thought I'd be the kind of person to take revenge. I'm quiet. I mind my business. I believe in doing the work I'm paid to do and going home with a clear conscience. But people like Travis? They make you question all that. And when the time came, I didn't scream or argue. I just gathered the truth and let it speak for itself. Let me start from the top. This was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, back in 2023. I was working as a project coordinator for a mid-sized construction firm. It was one of those jobs that didn't sound glamorous when you explained it to people, but it paid the bills. I managed schedules, tracked permits, updated timelines, coordinated subcontractors. Basically kept things from falling apart. I'd been in the role for about a year and a half when they brought Travis in. He transferred from our Dallas office after his team got restructured. At first, everyone was polite, welcoming. We're a small office, 30 people tops, so new faces get attention. Travis looked polished. Slicked back hair, button-down shirts that probably cost more than my whole outfit, and a gold watch he made sure to flash every time he reached for a pen. But the charm wore off fast. By the end of his first week, I noticed he wasn't around after lunch. Not at all. He'd leave around noon and wouldn't show up again until nearly 2 p.m. I assumed he had off-site meetings or something important going on. But then I checked our shared calendar. He had nothing booked. Every single day. So I asked, "Hey, did your lunch run long today?" I saw a client email come in during that time. He looked up from his phone, smirked, and said, "Yeah, I took my time." "You actually care about this job? That's cute." He actually said that. Word for word. Then he gave a little laugh like I was some gullible intern still trying to prove myself. From then on, he got worse. Travis started missing parts of his work. It started small. He forgot to send an email to a vendor, didn't update one of the Gantt charts, left a few notes blank on a permit file. I picked up the slack. I figured maybe he was still adjusting, and I didn't want our department looking sloppy. But it snowballed. He began pushing entire tasks onto me. "Hey, can you take this one? You're better at these timelines. Mind calling the plumber? He doesn't seem to listen to me. Can you check the zoning docs? You already have the folder open, right?" And when I didn't jump to it right away, he'd play dumb later, claiming he thought I had handled it already. So the managers started looking at me sideways when stuff slipped. But I didn't rat him out. I just quietly handled it. Then came the final straw. I was in the break room heating up some leftover chili. He walked in, grabbed a soda, and said, "Man, you really are the office mom, huh? Picking up after everybody." I just looked at him. He grinned, then added, "It's not my fault they dump it on you. You act like it's your job to save the whole company." That day, I went back to my desk and created a folder on my personal drive. I called it Lunch Break Accountability. I started documenting everything. I screenshotted emails. I kept copies of project files with metadata showing who last touched them. I made notes of the days and times Travis disappeared. I even used the company's time tracking system, an optional tool, but one we were allowed to use, to show my consistent hours. I didn't plan to use it right away, but I knew I might need it, and sure enough, 3 weeks later, I got pulled into a closed-door meeting. Beth, my direct manager, sat me down with a stiff smile. "Travis has some concerns," she said. "He feels like you're not being collaborative, that you've been ignoring requests and not sharing updates. He even said you're trying to make him look bad." I laughed, couldn't help it, but Beth wasn't smiling. She asked if I had anything to say. I told her I'd bring something in the next morning. I stayed late that night. I printed everything. Over 100 pages of logs, emails, screenshots, timelines. All sorted and labeled. I wrote a short summary on top explaining what the packet showed. Missed deadlines, vanishing hours, workload imbalance, and proof that I wasn't the one sabotaging anything. I didn't even ask for a meeting. I dropped it off at HR first thing and went back to my desk like nothing happened. That day, Travis came in late again. He strutted in with coffee and a bagel, cracking jokes about some food truck he just had to try. He sat across from me, kicked back in his chair, and said, "Enjoy that file cleanup, superstar. I left a little mess for you." The next part I'll never forget. At 10:47 a.m., two men from HR walked into the office. They didn't say anything to anyone else. They went straight to Travis's desk. One leaned down and said, "We need to speak with you privately." Travis blinked like he didn't hear right. "Huh? About what?" "We'll explain in the conference room." He looked at me. I didn't smile. I didn't flinch. I just kept typing. He stood up slowly, still trying to laugh it off, but his hands were shaking. That was the last time I saw him in our office. After Travis got pulled into that HR meeting, the office felt like it was holding its breath. Nobody knew what was going on at first. People whispered. Some assumed it was a misunderstanding. Others thought maybe Travis had said something off-color. He was always a little too confident, especially around the women on the team. But I knew, and I waited. By lunchtime, Travis was gone. Just gone. No goodbye. No email. No dramatic exit. His computer was shut off. His desk sat untouched. The blinds in the HR office were still closed, and the hallway outside was unusually quiet. Beth called me in again the next day. This time, she looked nervous. "We're moving forward with some internal changes," she said carefully. "And we reviewed your documentation." HR was very surprised at how thorough you were. I nodded. "You won't have to work with Travis anymore," she added. "We're shifting some responsibilities around to make sure no one is overburdened." That sounded nice. Almost too nice. Because here's where the twist comes in. About a week later, I got a call from a private number while I was at home watching TV. I usually ignore those, but something made me pick up. "Hello. Is this my name?" The voice was quiet. Male. Nervous. "This is Kyle," he said. "I worked with Travis back in Dallas." I sat up straight. "How did you get this number?" I asked. "I got it from LinkedIn." "Look, I know this is weird, but I needed to talk to you." "About him?" "About what he did." He sounded scared. Really scared. And what he told me next made everything worse. Apparently, Travis had a pattern. Kyle said Travis did the same thing in Dallas, dumped his work on others, slacked off, took long breaks, even forged time cards. But worse? He sabotaged a coworker there too. Framed her for messing up permit applications, got her written up 3 times, and eventually she got laid off. Kyle said he wanted to speak up back then, but he was afraid. Said HR in Dallas protected Travis because his uncle was a VP. But now, Travis didn't have that protection anymore. His uncle had retired months ago, and when Travis transferred to our Tulsa office, he was on his own. Kyle found out about his firing because the Dallas office still gossiped about him, and somehow someone mentioned my name. That's when Kyle reached out. "He's not just lazy," Kyle said. "He's dangerous. I don't know what he's told you or what happened, but please be careful. He holds grudges." That night, I locked my doors. I don't scare easy, but something about that call made my skin crawl. The next morning, I got to work early. I checked my car tires fine. Looked for anything strange on my desk, nothing. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Then I noticed something new. A sticky note on my keyboard. Just 2 words, "Not over." It wasn't my handwriting. And no one should have been at my desk. Prompt: add more story twist, but still keep the details consistent. No ending yet, absolutely. Here's the next twist in the story. Details stay consistent. Still no ending. I stared at the sticky note for a full minute. Not over. It was written in all caps, thick black ink, like someone pressed hard with a Sharpie. My hands started to sweat. I looked around the office. It was still early, only a few people had arrived. No one was near my desk. I carefully picked up the note with a tissue and slid it into a Ziploc bag I had in my purse. Paranoid? Maybe. But I wasn't taking chances. I went straight to Beth. She frowned when I showed her the note. "Are you sure it wasn't left by mistake?" she asked. I just looked at her. Beth sighed and said she'd talk to HR. Again. I thought that would be the end of it. I really did, but it wasn't. 3 days later, I got an email from a fake address. No name, no subject. Just an attachment with a label, project_schedule_error.pdf. I didn't open it. I forwarded it to IT. They confirmed what I feared. It was malware. Someone was trying to access our network through my account. Luckily, our system blocked it before anything got in. But now the company was on high alert. That's when they got serious. They checked login logs, reviewed building access. HR even pulled badge records for the last 2 weeks. And they found something. 2 days after Travis was fired, someone used an employee badge to get into the building at 6:17 a.m. That badge belonged to Paul, the office maintenance guy. Harmless, older, quiet. But Paul swore he hadn't come in early that day. In fact, he'd taken the morning off for a dentist appointment. Had proof, too, which meant someone had stolen his badge. That's when I knew Travis wasn't just mad. He was unhinged. I got HR to call the police. They took statements, collected the note and the Ziploc bag, and asked me if I felt personally threatened. I said yes. They added patrols outside the building. IT reset everyone's credentials. But the whole office was tense now. People were whispering, avoiding eye contact. A few even asked me quietly, "What did you do to make him this mad?" Like I was the problem. That's when I snapped. Not out loud, not in front of anyone, but inside. I was done being quiet. Done waiting. Travis had made it personal. He wanted a war? He was about to see how deep I'd already dug. After the malware attack and the stolen badge, I changed. I wasn't just scared anymore. I was angry. Furious, actually. For months, I'd been trying to do the right thing, stay quiet, keep my head down, protect the team. And what did that get me? A target on my back. Travis wanted a war? Fine. I knew how to fight it. The one thing about Travis that stuck with me was his ego. He wanted people to think he was better, smarter, untouchable. But I also knew something else from Kyle's call, from the HR files I quietly asked to review. After all this blew up, he was sloppy. He always left trails. I asked myself, why was Travis still bothering me? Why risk it? Because he wasn't done. He needed revenge. And that meant he needed to win. But the truth? Travis was too arrogant to stay hidden for long. So I baited him. I created a fake folder in our shared drive titled HR_backup_internal_review. It was full of dummy documents. Just spreadsheets with gibberish. But one of the fake files was labeled Travis_complaint_evidence_summary docs. It was set up with tracking. The minute someone accessed it from outside our network, IT would get a ping. 3 days later, IT called me. Someone accessed the document from a private IP address, the tech said. It pinged from a coffee shop Wi-Fi in Broken Arrow. That's where Travis lived. Police got involved immediately. This time, they took it seriously. They coordinated with the coffee shop's cameras. And sure enough, at 3:42 p.m., there he was, Travis. Sitting at a corner table with a laptop. That was enough. He was arrested 2 days later for unauthorized access to company systems and harassment. They also linked the stolen badge incident to him. He had made a copy. Apparently, he'd sweet-talked the janitor into borrowing it for an emergency. The guy didn't think twice. When they searched Travis's apartment, they found a folder with my name on it. Printed emails. Photos of me leaving the building. Notes like, makes herself look innocent, and watch her lunch schedule. The cops told me I was lucky. If I hadn't pushed when I did, he might have tried something worse. And here's the thing I didn't expect. I got promoted. Yep. Senior coordinator. Beth and HR said they wanted someone who had proven leadership under pressure. What they meant was they didn't want to deal with the mess they let grow under their watch. I should have felt proud. But I didn't. Because the truth is, I let it go on too long. I let myself believe being quiet was the same as being strong. I should have stood up the moment he dumped that first task on me. I should have told Beth everything before it blew up. I also realized something else. This wasn't just about Travis. It was about a system that rewards silence and punishes discomfort. I played by the rules, and for a long time I was losing. Only when I fought dirty like him did I win. And that's what still eats at me. But yeah, Travis is out of the industry now. Charged. Fined. Blacklisted. The last I heard, he was working night shifts at a gas station outside Tulsa. And me? I still do my job. Still stay late sometimes. Still double-check everything. But now, when someone tries to dump their work on me, I look them dead in the eye and say, "You can do it yourself." Because I don't carry trash anymore. Not for anyone.